This is Trash Panda Publishing. Thank you for joining our podcast, where raccoons talk about books and publishing, and of course, anything related to raccoons. I'm your host, David James. Happy New Year, everybody. It is January 1st, 2026. I think I may actually be able to remember 26. I don't know why, it just flows off the tongue. It is 7:15 in the morning. My voice sounds gravelly, I guess, because of last night. And I didn't actually do anything crazy. That was 2 nights ago. But I'm sitting here on my balcony here in Miami. I'm here for a couple more days before I go back to Massachusetts. The sun is up. It is beautiful outside. I'm going to record just a little bit this morning, mostly crimson stuff, because we got some good emails from the Hustlers. Eekpoo333 is back. LoyadaR had a number of emails with her, him, whatever, over the last couple days. And a new person named Mayus from Department 1. That's all we're doing today. I do have, I think, one chapter that's been provided to me. It's John's chapter, and I did not want to do it, John, with this gravelly voice. I wanted to make certain that my normal voice was back, because I don't think your chapter deserves gravel. Anyways, that's going to come later. But today, this morning, anyways, I hope to amuse you, particularly if you're going to the gym or taking down the Christmas tree or something to that effect, and you want to laugh. This episode is for you. Let's start. Well, actually, you know what? The big news is Ava Honeysuckle has been cast. If you're in the Facebook group, you already know this because I've posted a wonderful sort of news release, if you will. And I'm thrilled to announce that Lulu Smyles, that's an author who is in our group, who has written a book, a choose-your-own-adventure book on sort of written in poem form. And it is designed, and I've read the book, and I'll come back to that in a second. It's designed to help you explore your emotions through a healing process. It's a journaling book. If you might remember, if you were around in the 80s or 90s when Choose Your Own Adventure books were big time popular with middle schoolers and elementary schoolers, they were for me. You would read a paragraph, and at the end of the paragraph, you would make a choice, swim the ocean or get back in the boat or something to that effect. And whichever choice you picked, it would tell you which page to turn to, and there would be another paragraph or two, sometimes a picture, and you would read that and make your selection. If you were lucky, you could make it to the end of the book and, quote, win. There were chances to win in these books, but most of the time you ended up dying somehow or another. I hadn't even thought of Choose Your Own Adventure books for the longest time until I met Lulu. And I bought her book, and I think I wrote a review on it as well. If I didn't, I need to do that. And it was fascinating to me because I love poems. I'm not a very good poet. I think in my book there are a total of 2, maybe 3 poems in A Scholar's Wish. They are basic. But I love poetry. And her poetry is digestible. It's not huge, long poems. They're usually 4 to 8 lines. And they're about emotions. Particularly if you've been wounded or going through a troublesome period in your life, and as you work through her Choose Your Own Adventure of this thing, it does lead you to journaling pages where they're blank, which is why her book is not on Kindle. I was wondering about that, and she explained it to me. She's like, well, how would someone write in a Kindle? Well, that's a good point. So I have a physical copy, and when you get to certain pages, there's a prompt that would ask you to deeply, basically, I would say meditate and think long and hard about the prompt and then pour your emotions out on this page. There's dozens of these pages in there. Well, Lulu is going to, now let me back up. So she has been cast as Ava. She has a wonderful voice, and I think probably more importantly, the best attitude to participate in this project with me. She's so excited to be part of this with me, and I am too, because if you don't have excitement, let me back up. If you don't have energy and you're not really into something, it is not going to go well. But if you are really bought into the vision, and more importantly, if you're having fun, then it will be a release. It will be a time of fun. And just thinking about her book from the perspective of healing, To me, if you're not laughing, you're doing something wrong because this life is really funny. Yeah, there are sad parts. There are really painful parts of life too, but there's also a lot of laughter and joy. And if someone has taken that from you, or you feel like someone has taken that from you, then you need to laugh. And to some extent, the Crimson Jack Acorn saga, the soap opera that is designed to do that. Well, I think Lulu sees that and thrilled. So we're getting her microphone and equipment set up. So when I come back from Miami, we're going to have her appear on the show. Not live. I mean, these shows will never be live. But at some point, there'll actually be both of us together, improving together. But aside from Ava, I do want Lulu to come on to be a guest on the show, not as Ava, but as herself, as an author. And because her book is not in Kindle form, it is, unless you've purchased it, you wouldn't have read it. And to me, it's really powerful. I like journaling. To some extent, these little stories that I write, these little short stories back to the Hustlers, are in effect kind of journaling. It's fictitious, of course, but it doesn't have to be. It could easily be my real emotions coming through. And I want Lulu's book to shine, and I want her to walk me through it on the air with you. Not the whole thing, of course, but a couple of prompts. I want her as the author to explain. She wrote the poems. So how is she trying to guide us as the reader using poetry? What was her goal with each poem? What prompted her to write it? And then I will sort of react. I'll give her my reaction to what I heard in the poem, what emotions it stirred in me, and then I'll pick a choice, because at the end, there's a decision that you have to pick, go this page or that page. And we're going to go through 2 or 3 of those and talk through sort of her thought process. How was this book designed to help a person self-reflect and journal and hopefully heal if they are hurt, or hopefully uncover emotions that perhaps they've been hiding. But we're going to do that at some point in January. So that's the huge news. Now on to the sort of emails with the Hustlers, and then I will sign off here, and you guys will hear from me when my voice is better and I can read John's book. So you might recall, if you've listened to the episodes before, this is episode number 6, Eek Poo Poo, or Eek Poo 333, has been emailing me for days now, actually over a week now. He is a Shopify expert. I got it right this time. I didn't call it Spotify. It's Shopify. And of course, he is trying to convince me and the other raccoons that are part of this operation to hire him to improve my store in somehow. I do not talk to him about business. I talk to him about my life. So the last time I had emailed with him was on December 26th. And I explained, you can go back and listen to it. And his answer was, well, how old is the raccoon and how old is Ava? That was on the 26th. And I didn't respond. And I think I told you guys the reason is I needed content. I just can't pour all the content onto one show. So I let a day or two go by. In this case, it was like a day and a half. He emailed and said, are you there? And that was on the 27th. Well, I replied on the 27th, like fairly quickly. And this is what I wrote to him. I got to put Crimson's voice on. I'm not having a good day. Ava went on a date with Dmitri. She said his Russian accent was fascinating. And that's it. ... Hit send. What I'm doing here is I'm introducing a new character into our soap opera called Dmitri. Dmitri Gorbachev. Dmitri Gorbachev is a very, very interesting raccoon, I believe. He is one that, if you did not take his side of things, he will hit you with a sack of hot nickels into your cranium and sometimes break out your kneecaps. And Dmitri uses this sack of hot nickels because it does not leave fingerprints for the authorities to find where he might have hit you with the sack of hot nickels. He's very good. Ava, who fancies herself as a big star, is enamored with a foreign accent and anybody from outside Briar Woods, because this is exotic to her. Maybe Dmitri is from the Big Apple. Maybe he's a movie producer. Maybe he's a Broadway producer. We're going to find out. But I am Crimson Jack Acorn III, and I am not having a good day because Ava went on a date with Dmitri. So at some point, that storyline will be picked back up. But let's see what Eek Eekpoo333 said after that. Oh, he didn't reply, so I goosed him a little bit. And here's what I wrote. A day later, actually 2 days later, on the 29th, which was my anniversary, by the way. I was 30 years of marriage to my real Ava, not this character that we have going on here. My wife would kill me if she thought I was somehow comparing her to the fictitious Ava. But anyways, that on my anniversary, before we went out to dinner, I recorded. Well, I had not recorded. Sorry, I sent this message to Eekpoo333. I said, "Oh, I'm here, Eekpoo333. I'm here. But you know who isn't here? One guess. Ava Honeysuckle. That's who's missing. ... Have you ever been in love, Eekpoo333? Is there a Mr. or Mrs. Eekpoo333 in your life, or maybe a future Mr. or Mrs. Eekpoo333? Tell me. I simply must know if humans, and I'm assuming that you're human, whether humans fall in love, or is it just raccoons?" And I hit send. He did reply back yesterday at around lunchtime. And let's see, what did he say? He said, "No, human and raccoons also fall in love too. Have you fallen in love with a raccoon?" Well, Eekpoo333, you are not doing a good job of listening to these emails or reading them, because for over a week now I have been telling you that I'm in love with a raccoon. But you know what? He's not wrong. Never once in these monologues do I say I'm a raccoon, although my email address is called Head Raccoon, so that is some sort of a clue, Eekpoo or Eekpoo333. But the fact that he is engaging here and talking about raccoons and raccoon love, and we're not talking about bestiality here, we're just talking about two fictitious characters, Crimson and Ava. So again, he says, "No, human and raccoons also fall in love too?" I don't know if that's a question or a statement, but his second one, have you fallen in love with a raccoon? Okay, this is like I like to say, this is a softball across the plate. And so here's what I wrote. Eekpoo333. Yes, I'm in love with a raccoon, and perhaps more honestly and openly, I'm in love with Ava. The shape of my soul flutters and takes shape whenever she's near. And love, if we're going to speak of it seriously and not sentimentally, is not madness. It is not the absence of reason. It is the reason sharpened by vulnerability. It is the decision to allow another being to matter enough that their joy elevates you and their pain wounds you. Not because you're weak, no, but because you're alive. And I have to note that climbing electric fences to get chickens is something that sane raccoons do. Not something sane raccoons do, only crazy. Crazy Eekpoo333, crazy in love. And I did not stumble into falling in love with Ava. I arrived there. We grew up together, you see. Well, I know you don't care. I think you just want to talk about business, and I want to talk about business of the heart. Philosophers can argue whether love is desire or duty or recognition or perhaps even illusion. Morvenna Winter, I believe, said in A Scholar's Wish that love was just a tool that mortals use to control each other. Well, I believe love is recognition sustained over time. The moment you see someone clearly, and then choose again and again not to look away. That's love. Now, Ava is not an idea to me. She's not a fantasy, but she's fantastically smart, and she has a will of her own. And she's a force, and she is a flame that does not ask permission to burn, she just does. And I love her. Not because she's easy, because she's true. Truly impossible for me to get her attention. But here's the part that philosophers often avoid, Eekpoo333. Love is not infinite. And in what we can endure without changing its nature, I don't know. But a heart is not an indestructible object. It is a living thing. It hurts. It sometimes learns, and that's what I've been told anyways. Oh, I can confirm that it hurts. And that it doesn't learn. And that's the problem. Ava wants a learned raccoon, and she says I'm not. But I can tell you, Eekpoo333, that I have learned that my pain is real. Ava can break my heart. And how do I know? Because she has. More than once. And I forgave. Not that of weakness or fear of losing her, but because of love. When it's real, always giving space for growth. Love believes in the possibility of return. It allows for a fracture. But I wonder, I have my doubts. Love is not something that is an erasure of yourself, Eekpoo333. So you ask, how many times is enough, Eekpoo333? Enough is not a number. Enough is a moment. It is a moment when the pain stops being accidental and becomes habitual. It is when the breaking is no longer followed by repair. And it is when forgiveness demands self-betrayal. At that point, love ends. Not when the affection dies, no, but when dignity must be chosen instead. If Ava breaks my heart again without change, without truth, without regard to what she has asked me to survive, then love won't vanish, but it'll transform into distance, into silence, and into the quiet respect of knowing when to step away from the fire rather than to be consumed by it. I love Ava fiercely, intentionally, and philosophically. So yes, I am a learned raccoon. Those are all disciplines. But even love must answer to meaning, and meaning in the end requires limits. Sincerely, Crimson Jack Acorn III. I'd been drinking a lot of margaritas, I think. Not a lot. I had more than one when I wrote that. So I was feeling very, metaphysical when I wrote that. Looking at it, it's not very funny. It is deep, and I don't even know what I was saying there. But let's see if Eekpoo responded. I got to scroll up. No, he has not responded to that one. However, LoyadaR has. So LoyadaR emerged back. You might remember she was the one that promised me mega returns on my store within 72 hours for this Christmas. The one where I, how would I describe it? I challenged her grammatical ability. Well, I couldn't trust her to improve my store's performance if she couldn't get the Christmas right. But she didn't go away. In fact, she continues to email. So let's find where that email trail picked up. I think I read this one already. Yeah, I did read that one. So let's scroll up to the next one that she sent me. So on December 28th, she emailed back after I told her my life was stuck in neutral, and that was, I think, episode 5. She writes, I'm a Shopify expert. I hear you, but growth in business and growth in life comes from the same place, clarity and relevance. Just like a brand, relationships thrive when you evolve and add value and stay intentional. And if you're feeling stuck, it's a signal to realign your purpose and not give up your future. Fix the foundation emotionally and strategically, and both love and success can move forward. Well, LoyadaR, look at you. You are quite the philosopher. And honestly, you're impressing me more here because you've taken the bait. You have been brought into the world of Ava and Crimson. So I replied back to LoyadaR, and Lloyd does reply, but let me read what I said to her first. This was yesterday morning. LoyadaR, oh, please tell me. You seem an expert, but how do I fix the foundation of life where the raccoon that I long for and admire says I'm going in the opposite direction? She's leaving Briar Woods. Leaving, LoyadaR, leaving, and probably forever. So how do you build a foundation when the reason for your building project is walking out of my life as soon as a casting agent calls her? So yes, tell me how I can make millions on my store. But to what end? How can I have millions of whatever currency you humans care about when the person I want to talk with is gone? Sincerely, Crimson Jack Acorn III. Well, LoyadaR replied about 3 hours later, and she said, you just have to try. Well, what kind of response is that? So that was not satisfying, so I wrote a much longer response. LoyadaR, tell me, I get it that you're a Shopify expert, but are you an expert in the matter of hearts? At Trash Panda Publishing, they have a chief brand raccoon who is, they say, in the wood, as in Hollywood, simply amazing. And we have a chief marketing raccoon. And I'll tell you, she is one heck of a tough grader when it comes to reviewing things. So tell her here, she's copied, how and what you bring to Trash Panda Publishing. What do you do? And how do you get paid? And if it was me, I would work for Cuddles, for Cuddle Time with Ava. That's all I need. Do you know how full my love tank gets when I cuddle? I have 2 love languages, LoyadaR. Words of affirmation and physical touch. And no, LoyadaR, physical touch does not mean sex. It means I like to have my fur rubbed in that right direction. Mind you, it hurts if you push against the grain unless under, well, different circumstances, but that would be a different podcast. LoyadaR, I like to be held, wrapped up in the arms of Ava, while we watch the sun set. And we don't have any fancy tech here like these TV things you have, so the sun will work just fine. I like to wrap my paws around her small frame and pull her tight against me while her head rests on my shoulder. I lay my head on top of hers and I can smell Chanel No. 5. She only wears the classics. That's it. Nothing more needs to happen, LoyadaR. Nothing has to progress past that for me to have physical touch love tank filled. And you know why, LoyadaR? You know why? Because when you know that she can be with any other raccoon, and probably even foxes if she wanted to, she has chosen me. Me. Crimson Jack Acorn III. I feel like a king. Not because I've conquered her, no, but because she's selected me to be part of her royal world. That might be hard for you to understand, and that's why I've asked you if you were more than a Shopify expert. So go ahead, tell me about your business. My raccoons who like business things are listening, LoyadaR. But if they want to get approval from the head raccoon around here, that's me, you have to be an expert in the ways of the heart. And you know why that matters? Because everything I just told you about cuddling with Loyda has never happened. Well, at least not with me. I dream about it, LoyadaR. I only dream about it. Sincerely, Crimson Jack Acorn III. We're waiting for Loyda to reply back. We had one other person show up here. I think this guy has shown up before. His name is Mayus. And this is the guy who emailed and said something, you Smith, please. I think, can I ask you a question, please? Well, he emailed again, but this time spelled a question, comma, PLS. So clearly he has a question. So I replied back, questions are free, Mayus. It's the answers that are expensive. And I hit send. Well, he replied back today, and he wrote with like an emoji laughing thing. Answers are expensive indeed. Haha. Oh, okay, so he's a playful one. Then he followed up, and I will not bore you with basically cut and paste the same email where he includes a profile link to his, I guess, website and a bunch of web stores that he supposedly worked on. I'm not clicking these links. If one of you was very, very brave and likes to click links, let me know. I'll forward you this email. You can click the links and see what happens. I am not putting malware on my computer. But I have to reply to Mayos today. So that is all I have to share with you today. We have been working, going back to the Ava thing, Lulu and I have been working on using an AI video to, just as a test, I wanted to see if I could make a cartoon of Ava and Crimson. And it made one that I don't know, it was interesting, but it really wasn't the feel I was looking for. So if any of you happen to know of a really, really good AI rendering video tool that can make 20 to 30 second videos based off of, like, you upload a photo. In this case, it would be Ava and Crimson, the cartoons that we have. And I want to be able to tell, with a prompt, I'm making this up, Crimson tries to give Ava a rose and she throws it in the ditch. Something like that. It's just real short stories, like no more than 30 seconds. And the idea is, if we can figure out and find a good AI source, we'll start running these little videos on the Crimson Jack and Acorn III and Ava Honeysuckle Facebook page, which does exist, and I will drop the link in the description of this podcast. They have their own page now. And I do want to turn it into a soap opera over there. We have Dimitri now. I've talked to Lulu about this, Ava's probably going to write a blog in the form of a diary where she does her own version of what I'm doing here in written form, and then eventually we'll do audio form as well. But it is going to be a lot of fun. I may actually break these podcasts into two different ones. One is just the Ava and Crimson show, and the other one would be all books and publishing. And the reason I'm thinking about that is because I end up spending like 25 minutes doing the Ava stuff. When I read somebody's chapter, it's like another 20 minutes, and these podcasts are turning out to be, I think, probably too long. I don't think anyone wants to listen to an hour of me. So I'm going to try to keep them shorter, and to do that, I probably have to create a separate channel for just Ava and Crimson. So that is what's going on here. I hope you guys have a wonderful January 1st. And when I get back to Boston in a few days, we'll get back on what I always promised, which is a lot more reading of chapters and hopefully live interviews. Lulu would come on. I'd love to have Erica Sabu come on here and tell us about her vision and also her book. She's got 80 plus books. She is leading the pack and is, I would say, our leader. And I would love to have her appear on the show and talk to us about all kinds of wisdom and what she's learned with all these 80 books that she's published. If you would like to be on the show and either having a chapter read or appearing as a guest or both, email me at actually I have a new email address, crimsonjack@trashpandapublishing.com. And if you want to email Ava, she has an email address too, ava@trashpandapublishing.com. And Lulu has that email address, and if she chooses to respond, she might, or she'll just ignore you. But anyways, have a great day. Have a great day. Until next time, stay curious.
Thanks for listening to Trash Panda Publishing Podcasts. And like all raccoons, stay curious.